Welcome back to JK Rants and Reviews. I'm John, this is Caleb, and today we're going to be talking about Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark 2019.
I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was a PG-13 horror movie, which usually I feel like I go into those and it hurts a lot. I get the MPAA can tear these movies apart and bring it down ratings and stuff like that, but then you've got movies like Slender Man, which are just painfully bad.
So Slender Man was the first movie we watched together, and unfortunately it was horrible in theaters. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible.
This not terrible at all. I actually looked up some of the rankings, and it's kind of weird because let's see, Metacritic 61%, IMDb 6.5 out of 10, but Rotten Tomatoes says 82%,
and they're king. So,
most
people would consider them to be the go-to.
There's some harsh words we could all
absolutely,
have with Rotten Tomatoes.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying.
84% of Google users liked this movie. I'm leaning more towards the Google users, in all honesty. I really, really enjoyed it. As a kid, I had the books, and they scared the crap out of me. Wear your brown pants. I don't remember the stories that much because I was so nervous. I remember the book covers, really enjoying the art. But this movie, it had some jump scares that got me, but it wasn't tremendously scary, and I wasn't walking into it like it was going to be a be-all, end-all horror film, and I think that helps.
I mean, they tried to capitalize on a lot of the jump scares, but they also built up the suspense quite a bit because these are characters. They spent a lot of time with it. It opens up, kind of nerdy kids that you can kind of relate to, down to earth, but struggling with their own whatevers. And then it kind of goes into the creepy house, which was a fantastic layout.
I want to live there.
Right. They have a good backstory of the main ghost chick.
Yep.
And then you have it felt a lot like Stephen King too. You focused on the characters, you built up good characters. There's a bully, and then once stuff goes down, and for me anyway, you could relate to these kids at that age of being completely freaked out and over your head. Nobody's gonna believe you, and when the horror hits. They did really well for PG-13.
They did.
They really did. I don't know if more gore would have been better because they did it so well.
I would say that when I was around the age that I would have been introduced to a film like this, I do know that there were kids out there who weren't allowed to watch Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween or the heavy hitters of horror.
Yep.
And this movie will be a place where there's that middle ground with certain parental regulations with kids. And I think that this would be a good introductory to horror film. If say that your kid starts getting curious about horror and you think they're a little young for it, this may be a good starting point. There's not a lot of gore. There's some jump scares. And it has an ending that is okay to end on.
There's obviously a lot of ways to tiptoe your kids into horror, but definitely if they've got a feel for it, and it always depends on their maturity level. I was watching stuff I should have never been watching at a very young age. But I was mature enough to handle it to where I didn't do anything weird, I didn't say anything weird, and I didn't make a big deal out of it.
I had an older brother who scared me.
Well, yeah.
Maybe we watched Child's Play, Halloween, and then Friday the 13th Part 7 on the same night, and that wasn't the same for a while.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot in one night. But back to the movie. No, it's really good though. I like I said, building up the characters was great. The different locations they shot at and the different scenes and stuff like that were great. It just added a lot of difference between each scene to scene. It wasn't in the same in the scary house or in their house or in the school or something. They moved around.
It had a flow.
It did.
It had a really good flow. I had to get up to go to the bathroom once.
Weak bladder.
Childlike bladder.
Very tiny. Yeah, without spoiling too much, I really do feel like the different stories they put in this were creative. Like we said, wasn't overly. Like we said, I appreciate the PG-13, even though I would have enjoyed it probably more with an R.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I do appreciate that this has a spot for like he was saying, kids that want to watch this that are in that gray period. I like the fact that it doesn't take place in the 80s. I love the 80s. I love all things 80s. I love Stranger Things, and I love it and how they go back to the 80s. But I am ready for something else. They go back to the late 60s, early 70s, and they talk about the Richard Nixon and Vietnam and stuff like that. And that plays into some of the movie and some of the characters and things like that. It's just nice to see a different take on our time, and I like scary movies that are set in the past where you didn't have cell phones and computers and you didn't know everything because you've seen every movie under the sun and you can find it in 10 seconds. And I like parents back in the day just didn't watch their kids like they do now, to where kids could get in trouble. It's like the Goonies. You couldn't make a Goonies today. There's just no way. It just wouldn't work.
I also really appreciated all of the Easter eggs hidden throughout the movie with other big horror heavy hitters. There's George A. Romero. There's so many things to see in this movie where it like tips its hat to what came before it. And I really, really respected it for that, because I feel like a lot of movies that are coming out now just don't. They try and do their own thing, and then you wind up like Slender Man. Yes, I'm going to keep referencing that. That movie was so bad.
In our opinion, you can do a PG-13 horror movie. You can.
You can.
It's just it's just more likely going to work with R, but you can take the gloves off and really do everything you got to do.
But this is a good example of how to do a PG-13 horror film, and I would highly recommend continuing. If you're going to make PG-13 horror movie, look at this one. Or if they're going to continue, they need to take notes from what they did that worked, instead of going off the rails and making a really bad sequel like lots of movies like to do. The Ring.
God, Lost Boys, The Tribe.
Oh,
so bad. And the third one's horrible too. The third one's even worse than the second one. It was amazing how bad
I have avoided both of those.
Oh my God, Lost Boys is one of the best 80s movies of all time. And
yeah.
They just pooped all over it. In college, I was like, hey guys, we gotta watch this. This is a sequel to The Lost Boys. It's gonna be awesome. Nope. Anyway, what would you rate it?
Okay, so knowing what it is, and knowing that it doesn't really have much to go against at this point, being one of the first horror movies of this into October season that we're looking at, I'm going to rank it an 8.5.
Yeah.
I would say that if it were able to improve at all, I really have no complaints. 8.5 seems like a solid place.
Yeah.
I enjoy the graphics and the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Scarecrow's best.
Oh man.
Well, no. I actually like the freaky dude that flips and cricks and cracks and I can't remember what they call him. Is that what it is?
No.
The guy that comes down the chimney and puts himself together. You see him in the commercials and stuff like that. He's fantastic. I mean, he gets a little CGI here and there, but it is super freaky. I'd mess with that Scarecrow any day before I mess with that thing, because it's probably quick. Little herky jerky quick things freak me out.
I take neither. But 8.5, that's my ranking. I do have room to go up a little. I have no room to go down. I will not. Yeah, I will. I will probably add this movie to the collection when it gets a release.
Yeah. This is definitely something I would definitely look forward to watching with my son when he's finally of age. A somewhat appropriate age, depending on his maturity. Anyway, for me, I'm going to give this movie an 8.5 as well. I think there's not much room for improvement in a sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, I just hope you make it as good as you made this one.
Yeah.
I do feel like you could have trimmed off maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes. There were a couple times, like, it's all dialogue, and it's good dialogue, and it's moving the story, but it did feel a little stretched. But I mean, like I said, it wasn't boring. It wasn't a lot of fat in there. It just I feel like you could shorten it up just a little bit. I actually appreciate the fact that this thing is PG-13. I really like that adults can enjoy it, and younger generations can enjoy it as well. 8.5 each. Yeah.
That's a pretty good ranking for both of us. I feel like usually one of us is way higher than the other.
Right. So, it's nice, guys. We're kind of dipping our toe into the waters. We had Child's Play. We did all those. Make sure and watch them if you haven't. That's our early stuff, so it'd be nice. It's still early.
We're working.
We did the reboot of Child's Play. Now we have this one. We also did Brightburn. Next, we have Stephen King's It, Chapter 2. So make sure and like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get some more R&R. Until next time, JK out.
Tim Curry represent.
I know. It's just not something I'm going to keep up with.